Alright guys, welcome back to Valorant News. Tomorrow the World Championship for Valorant in Los Angeles officially begins. Lots of talking points on roster changes that might be going down. TenZ and Foxy9 from DRX teaming up, but also Alpha from Fnatic giving his perspective on how they are going to do this tournament. He says they're going to win it for sure and will go down as the best Valorant team ever. Historically, when players say stuff like this, it can come back to bite them a fair little bit. And will that be the case of Fnatic going forwards? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, the free event pass is now available in the game. In addition, of course, to the Champions bundle itself. You will see more of these tweets, as I've seen many already, such as this one from Durka. Friendship ended with Glitch Pop, now Champions Vandal is my best friends. And obviously this one as well from the likes of Chet saying that, look, it's the best bundle that's ever been released. You've got to get this one ASAP because himself and his players will get some money if you do. It's basically how this works. And look, all the players will say that it's the best bundle ever until next year, where they'll say that that's the best bundle ever, and that's kind of how the cycle here generally continues. Big update as well on DDK. I did mention the other day when DDK, so he came into 100 Thieves now a couple of years ago, really, after Riot decided not to move forward with Sean Gares and DDK for whatever reason, to be honest. He came in, he helped to build that 100 Thieves roster as their general manager. Sean Gares then departed, and now they parted ways with DDK just a couple of days ago. And I wondered what he's going to do next, right? Is he going to go back into casting? And that is his plan. He says last night, 17 months ago, I posted that I was hanging up the mic for a while, and ever since I have been missing it. Now I'm no longer with 100 Thieves. I'm returning to the talent pool as a caster, analyst, interviewer, and host for Valorant, CS, and more. Reach out, book inquiries, all this good stuff. And as we saw here in the replies, DDK is like, look, I'm down to come back and casting Valorant with Sean. Because I thought they were the best casting duo, personally. I would always enjoy listening to their casts, DDK and Sean Gares. And maybe they're going to run it back here again. So DDK is down for it to happen. I think Sean Gares could do a great job of it. But he's taken his own directions in life over the last several months. And you can understand why that's the case. But still interesting to see. I do wonder whether Riot might change their mind in terms of if Sean Gares and DDK did come back as a casting pairing, whether they would be involved more often in some of the, especially now it's franchise, they might be a bit more consistent in terms of which casting pairings they bring in. So definitely one to have a look at, but I'm looking forward to hearing them cast something again in the near future. Now we've also got George Geddes with another update. So yesterday we talked about Valen and Net from the Guard that are going to be free agents in mid-October. That doesn't mean they're going to leave the Guard necessarily. The Guard wants to re-sign them, but their deals are at an end. And once their deals are over, they can choose to not re-sign a new deal and go and join another team that gives them an offer. Now, of course, they're not going to join a Tier 2 team because now the Guard have qualified for Tier 1. So the only team that they would join is more than likely another North American franchise team that might want their services. And there are a few candidates that might consider it, right? Especially when there's other players in a similar spot, such as Jonah P. So he is also, and I believe apparently as of right now, his contract is up. He's in a free agency period. Now, will he get any better offers than what the Guard, because the Guard want to bring him back, and I think there's 95% chance that's what happens here. But still, if someone comes in from the franchise league with a bag and says, look, you want to join us instead, he's probably going to say yes. And it's the same for Net, and it's the same for Valent, and it's potentially the same for Trent. I don't exactly know what Trent's contract situation is. If his contract is still locked down, then he's going to stay unless someone else comes with a buyout, right? Because we don't know what the Guard's monetary situation is. We don't think it's great because we thought the Guard was going to be leaving Valorant by now anyway when Cronky decided earlier this year that, you know what, esports isn't really going to work for us anymore. Get me out of the Gladiators, the LA Gladiators. Get me out of the Los Angeles Grillers. But yet they still exist, as do the Guard, on maybe a bit of a skeleton crew. They don't seem to have like maybe a stacked content team like they used to. And the theory was they were just kind of riding it out until the end of the season, at which point they would then shut down operations. But now things look a little bit different. They've qualified for the Partnership League, but they're not an organisation that ever maybe was in the financial position that Riot were confident in, right? They turned the Guard down going into partnership for a reason. They probably looked at the books. They probably saw what might have happened here and thought that it was a bit risky be to partner with the Guard for the upcoming seasons, and probably an intelligent decision not to based on what happened over the coming months. But now they're in the Partnership League anyway, in the guest spot, as Leo Ferrier described a few days ago now, and we don't know how much money they've got, as in, if someone comes in and says, hey Trent, we want you from the Guard, we're going to pay you this, and the Guards say, yeah, we're down, we'll take that buyout figure, then Trent might go elsewhere. So I'm sure they want to keep their roster, but it's never for sure, especially when you've got star players. Now, Jonah P, I think, is not necessarily going to be as in demand as some of the other ones that we've mentioned, so he's probably going to stay, since he's been on this roster for a long time now. But technically, he's a free agent, and part of it means, I guess, that the Guard aren't paying him any money for the next couple of months, and might wait to then re-sign him to hopefully form the same roster they presently have, but that's for sure not guaranteed. Last night, there was a very kind of wholesome story that went down with TenZ teaming up with Foxy9 of DRX. Really, yeah, as I say, wholesome story here, and there were some great moments in the stream as well. They were winning like everything as well. Like, they were absolutely dominating all of the games pretty much that they played, and went on a pretty insane victory streak. I think the TenZ got to 21 wins on the bounce, helped in part by team with Foxy9 here. But yeah, just wanted to share this clip actually of a really nasty clutch on the Haven and TenZ's reaction.
Thanks. I will see.
Super Raj out already. 70 Sky.
No escape.
No, I got spammed.
Bye bye. My God.
Spike planted.
Uncle.
Maybe city.
Last player standing. Yikes. My ult's red. No charges left.
Ooh! Oh! Holy!
I think easy win. Yo, TenZ. I'm little TenZ. All right.
All right.
Easy.
So lots of people reacting to this in a great way, which is really nice to see. TenZ, of course, not competing at the World Championship. Foxy most certainly is for DRX, and that'll be really interesting because their group is pretty stacked, it's got to be said, and it's not going to be easy getting out of it at all. The effective tournament champions, theoretically, should be Fnatic. We saw the odds the other day. It's Fnatic, it's PaperX, it's Evil Geniuses, but outside of really the top two, a lot of people think that it's going to be really in Fnatic's favour, and it should be. They've dominated the season so far. They nearly, and they probably should, have lost the lock-in. Let's not forget. They were down absolutely monumental on that final map, Icebox against Loud. They bring it back all the way to overtime. They win the overtime in the end, and somehow they take victory at that tournament. Masters Tokyo, though, was emphatic. They looked, it was interesting when they lost to Team Liquid, Fnatic did, in the grand finals of their own region. So they didn't win absolutely everything this year. They didn't win their own regional finals, but that doesn't really matter much when you go to Masters and win it anyway. So really what people care about is the 3 international tournaments of the year. Hopefully next year we have 4 international tourneys, maybe even 5 international tourneys if we're really lucky. That's probably not going to happen, but let's say next year we get 4 or 3 again. Fnatic think they're going to win every one of them this year, and this is quite the statement from Alpha, and you can't blame him for saying this at all. They have, as I say, dominated the majority of the season. They, you know, EG put up a bit of a fight in the finals of Masters Tokyo, but as soon as Fnatic won the winners finals and they got the veto advantage in the finals, it was pretty much done and dusted. So Fnatic won that tournament. They won the first tourney. Nobody's ever done anything really like this before, and they're already, I would say, the best team of 5 in Valorant history. And they can go one better if they win champions, and they are absolutely odds-on favourites to do so. Right now, would you guys take Fnatic to win champions, or would you take literally any other team to win champions? Fnatic versus the field, as it were. Like, I still think I'm favouring Fnatic in that sense, just how good they have been. But look, obviously Alpha gives his thoughts on this. Turkish player for the roster, arguably the best player in the world, definitely right up there in the conversation, might be the most consistent in some respects. We'll see what Reddit have to say on that in a second. But as he says, I want to play PaperX and Loud. Loud just lost 2 matches, they were eliminated at Tokyo, but I still think they're one of the 3 strongest teams right now, and I want to play PaperX because something has his visa now, so we can prove that we're better than them. And he also goes on to say that, you know, calling it a dynasty is a stretch, but I think we are going to make history in Valorant, and everybody is going to say in 10 years' time time that this Fnatic was the best. 2023 Fnatic was the best. They're going to say this, which is a nice statement from Alpha, and it reminds me a little bit, maybe not quite to the same degree, but you guys know like the NIP 87-0 run in the early days of CSGO, and that record of NIPs, even though some players weren't even playing CSGO at that time because they were still on the old game, it's still considered to be one of the most legendary teams and runs in Counter-Strike history, and still lives on in the memory roughly 10 years later. Is Alpha right that in 10 years' time, people are going to look back on this Fnatic and still say that was the best ever roster? Because this season, there were some good teams formed for sure, but some of the teams like, something came into PaperX mid-season, Loud have their issues, a lot of the rosters can't make changes, and Fnatic have been the best by a mile. But is this the type of statement that could backfire? We've seen plenty of times before when players, and we always talk about it on this channel, and usually it always comes true. And I think Fnatic might be an exception to the rule here, but we've seen from Ethan and from other players that have said like oh yeah, we're going to beat these guys, or we're better than these guys, or we don't really feel any risk in this situation, and all this stuff to the journalists and to the media, and then they turn up to the tournament to get bodied out pretty early on. Now I don't think Fnatic are even capable of losing twice within the space of about 3 matches. But, who knows? Whenever something like this is said, I always feel like historically it comes back to bite you a little bit, and maybe Fnatic never win a tournament again in their life. I don't think that's the case, though, just because of how good these guys are. Just to quickly look, then, on what Fnatic have in their favour. So, they play in a couple of days on August the 8th against Zeta Division. They've also got NRG in their group and BLG. So, they shouldn't have too many difficulties here. Zeta were good, for sure, in the LCQ in the Pacific side. They made it through here. Fnatic should beat them. They should beat NRG as well, or BLG, whatever happens. I can't see them not qualifying through this group, to be honest. And then I suppose it becomes a matter of who can actually take them down in the playoffs. Is it going to be Liquid, who did beat them before, but I'm not so sure? Is it DRX? Is it Loud? Is it potentially PaperX? There are some candidates, but it's difficult to find a team that you think is actually going to be capable of doing so. And more than likely, Alpha is correct that at least Fnatic for the next few years will possibly be considered the best team that's ever been formed in Valorant. And you can understand why when you look at this. So the Valorant competitive subreddit put together their top 20. So people voted in this, they tallied them all up, and it came out with this. Poor Boaster doesn't make it on here, unfortunately, but his 4 teammates do. And his 4 teammates are number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I agree with Leo being number 1, Alpha number 2, Durka number 3, Chronicle number 4. Just ridiculous level of consistency across those players. And Boaster, I think, definitely deserves to be on here as well, because it's not just a 4-man show, right? Like, Boaster obviously does something, but I understand why he's not. Then they put Aspas, Kang, and then a couple of guys, few guys from PaperX, right? Something, Jing, Forsaken. We've got Ethan and Demon 1 here from, and also Boostio from the Evil Geniuses team. Som, Crashies, Les, Save, Mako, Nats, and all this. So you look at it from this perspective and you probably think, well, it's going to be Fnatic versus PaperX for the dub, and you might well be right in that opinion. But very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.